Hi everyone, it's Stella here from Why Not Stitches, and in this video tutorial I'm going to show you step-by-step guidance on how to embroider the heart pattern. This pattern had so much success on my Instagram community that I simply had to do this video. If you've purchased this pattern already, this video will be a great addition to the instructions included in the PDF files. If you are seeing this pattern for the first time and you'd like to give it a try, check out my Etsy shop. The link is in the description of the video. First thing to know is that I've started this embroidery in my adventure to connect with myself while spending a few days at a cozy cabin in the woods. But if you want to know more about it, check out my previous video. The link is also in the description below. I should warn you that this pattern is an advanced one and it can serve as a guidance to advanced and intermediate stitchers. I'm not going to show you how to transfer the pattern or how to dress your hoop, but you can see that in my other videos. All of this being said, let's see how I did it. One important piece of information for this specific pattern is that I'm using two different kinds of needles. An embroidery needle size 7 for all the outlines and a chenille needle size 24. All the other necessary supplies are displayed on the screen. The embroidery needle size 7 is perfect for the outlines because it has a small eyelet and a sharp tip, which makes it easier to punch the fabric. It's a perfect choice when I'm using one or two strands. For the outlines of the heart, I'm working backstitch all around with one black strand. There are some spots on the arteries of the heart where I work whipped backstitch to thicken the lines and to create a visual difference between the shapes. You can find the exact spots where to use whipped backstitch in the PDF pattern from my Etsy shop. To show the depth of the shape here, I'm working a bit of satin stitch in the middle of the arteries. I've outlined all the important shapes with backstitch, but some of them will be covered by future stitches. But that's not a problem, because we are going to make other outlining stitches later in the process. For the mountains, I made a few running stitches because I've made the sketch directly on the fabric, and it was quite messy. I've erased all the pen marks using a hairdryer and sketched the elements again, but you won't have to do that as you already have the final outlines in your PDFs. For the flowers, I'm using a few straight stitches. The idea is to run 3 or 4 grouped straight stitches to show the petals of the flowers. I'm leaving a little bit of space in the middle of the flower so I can add colonial knot. Then I covered the spots between the flowers with satin stitch. The veins of the heart represent the rivers in this embroidery. I'm working the rivers with split stitch. Don't worry if your stitches are covering the black outlines, we don't necessarily need them all to be visible. As you can see by now, this pattern is designed with a lot of satin stitches. I know that not all of you like this stitch, but I recommend you to take it as a practice to level up your skills. I'm working the trees with satin stitch again. This time I'm fanning the stitches to get a triangular shape. When I need to cover a large area with satin stitch, I first stitch a few spaced guidelines to make sure my satin stitches are following the same direction. And then I fill all the spaces in between those guidelines. You will not believe it, but I'm stitching the clouds with satin stitch as well, and I lay 2 layers of it to create a little volume. It could easily be called padded satin stitch. I'm working the sky with split stitch, the same as I did for the rivers. For the outlines inside the heart, I do backstitch, and this time I'm using 2 strands. For the moon, I'm working a classic padded satin stitch. You can try to work this way with the clouds as well. The idea is to make the outlines with backstitch and then cover them with satin stitches. I'm doing a few random cross stitches to embroider the stars. The last element on this embroidery are the sunflowers, and I'm working satin stitches for the petals and colonial knots for the middle. If you like French knots better, you can use them as well. The texture is pretty much the same. I hope you like the pattern and the idea behind its concept. If you feel like you could enjoy embroidering it and eventually gift it to a friend, check out the PDF download in my Etsy shop. If you want to know more about the idea behind this pattern, you can watch this video next, where I'm showing you how I got inspired to create this design. Thank you so much for being curious about embroidery. See you next time!